Good day, everyone. We are the fourth group, and we will present our contrastive analysis entitled From Tower to Empowerment, a contrastive analysis of Rapunzel in Grimm's fairy tales and Disney's Tangled. This study compares the original Rapunzel narrative from Jacob Grimm and Wilhelm Grimm with Disney's adaptation. Tangled focuses on how the story evolves across time. We will be discussing how differences in characterization, theme, and plot structure reflect changing cultural values. The original Rapunzel becomes from the collection Grimm's Fairy Tales, published in the early 19th century by the brothers Grimm. Their work was rooted in oral traditions and aimed to preserve German folklore. Their stories often carried moral lessons and reflected the social norms of their time, particularly ideas about obedience, discipline, and social order. In contrast, Disney's Tangled, released in 2010, reinterprets the story for modern audiences, incorporating contemporary values such as individuality, empowerment, and psychological depth. For the next slide is about summary and description of the work. In the Grimm's version, Rapunzel is a young girl locked in a tower by a witch. She secretly meets a prince, but when the witch discovers this, she punishes Rapunzel, leading to separation and suffering before their eventual reunion. Meanwhile, in Tangled, Rapunzel is portrayed as an adventurous young woman who longs to explore the world. With the help of Flynn Rider, she escapes the tower, discovers her identity, and ultimately gains her freedom. While both versions share the same core plot, their messages and character portrayals differ significantly.
Now let us move on to the first element, which is characterization. In the Grimm's version of Rapunzel, the main character is portrayed as passive and dependent. She has little control over her situation and mostly follows what others tell her to do. Her character is defined by obedience and suffering. In contrast, in Disney's Tangled, Rapunzel is shown as curious, brave, and independent. She makes her own decisions and actively takes part in her journey. The difference shows that the Grimm's version reflects traditional views of a woman as obedient and submissive. Meanwhile, Tangled presents a modern perspective where Rapunzel is empowered and capable of shaping her own destiny. Overall, the change in characterization highlights the shift from passivity to independence. Next is the second element, which is theme. In Grimm's Rapunzel, the story focuses on obedience and consequences. Rapunzel's isolation in the tower can be seen as a form of punishment, and the story emphasizes following rules and authority. On the other hand, Tangled focuses on freedom and self-discovery. Rapunzel's journey is about exploring the world and understanding her true identity. This shows that the Grimm version promotes social conformity, while the Disney version encourages individuality and personal growth. In relation to characterization, the passive nature of Rapunzel in Grimm supports the theme of obedience, while her independence in Tangled supports the theme of empowerment. This reflects how modern stories value self-expression more than strict obedience. Now for the third element, which is plot structure. The plot of Grimm's Rapunzel is simple and linear. It mainly focuses on her suffering, separation, and reunion with the prince. The story is direct and centered on a moral lesson. In contrast, Tangled has a more complex and dynamic plot. It includes action, humor, and romance, while also showing Rapunzel's personal growth. The difference shows that older stories are more focused on delivering lessons, while modern stories aim to entertain and develop characters. In connection with the previous elements, the more detailed plot in Tangled allows Rapunzel to grow and support the theme of identity and freedom. This shows the evolution of storytelling over time. Next, we have literary strategy and symbolism. In Grimm's version, the tower represents confinement and control, while the witch symbolizes authority and punishment. The story serves as a cautionary tale. In Tangled, the story still represents restriction, but more in psychological way. The lantern symbolizes hope and represents true identity, while Mother Gothel represents manipulation and control. This shows that the Grimm's version uses symbolism to teach lessons, while Disney uses it to express emotions and personal growth. Overall, Overall, the meaning of the symbols becomes more focused on internal struggles rather than external punishment. To conclude, the comparison between the two versions shows a clear shift in storytelling. The Grimm version focuses on obedience and conformity, while Tangled highlights independence and self-discovery. In terms of strength, the Grimm version preserves cultural traditions and moral lessons, but it limits female agency. On the other hand, Tangled promotes empowerment and individuality, although it simplifies some of the darker elements. Overall, the story of Rapunzel shows how fairy tales evolve over time to reflect changing cultural values, especially in terms of gender roles and identity.
Okay, in conclusion, the contrast between two versions highlights a significant shift in storytelling. The Grimm version reflects a society that values obedience and conformity, while Tangled represents modern ideals of independence and identity. A strength of the Grimm version is its clarity and moral focus, but it limits female agency. On the other hand, Tangled offers a more empowering and emotionally complex narrative, though it simplifies some of the darker elements of the original tale. Overall, the evolution of Rapunzel shows how fairy tales adapt to reflect changing cultural values. Okay, for our references, the sources used in the study include scholarly works on fairy tales, feminist criticism, and narrative theory as listed on this slide. Thank you very much for watching, and once again, good day.